Welcome to Sunday Night Topics. I am so glad that you tuned in either by our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us here. Hopefully we're getting back to normal this coming Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. We will be back in the room live. We took a couple of weeks off just so everybody could kind of refresh and get all of the quarantines out of the way. There were a lot of people that had to be... Now hold on, because we know how downtown Sumter community operates. Before y'all start posting on that Facebook stuff and everything else, I'm not telling you anybody had COVID. We just took a couple weeks off to kind of get through because we did have a lot that had been exposed. So we took a couple weeks off, which I'm so thankful that we use our brains. And I'm going to get on my soapbox just for a little bit because I've had some things, to be honest with you, have hurt my heart. And it has really shown some true character of what some people who call themselves Christians that have been bashing people because, oh, you got a shot? That must mean you don't fear God. You don't have faith in God. You don't have... God gave me brains to also use. If that's the way you feel, don't you take a Tylenol when you get a headache. Don't put a Band-Aid over anything that has a cut or a scrape. Don't go get stitches. Don't use it to fit your agenda. But then crucify somebody who does something else. As I said the other week, go do yourself a favor and watch Kevin Wallace's sermon on about the division in the church. It's not the world. You know, we love to say it's us against the world. No, it's not. It's Christians against Christians sitting inside church houses. We got to learn something. It's the love of Christ first. You want to get vaccinated? Get vaccinated. You want to wear a mask? Wear a mask. Does not matter. That's your preference. But don't condemn somebody and challenge their faith and their relationship with God because they don't believe or fit the agenda like you do. You might be a little shocked because you might have something happen to you in your life. You might miss Sunday school a time or two too. So make sure that we're doing what Christ would do. You know, as cheesy as it sounds, we almost need to bring back those bracelets. WWJD, what would Jesus do? Because we seem to have forgotten all that. All right, enough about my soapbox. We'll be back in the room next Wednesday night, 7 o'clock for the Edge Youth Service. Who you bringing? Also, now, the second thing I want to mention, because this one makes me a little proud. I love doing this. Those of you that have been around for a while here in this youth ministry, which is another thing. I'm so grateful to youth pastors and youth leaders who stick with youth ministry more than 2 to 4 years. We've been here quite a while. Julie and I have been here since 1999 as youth pastors. And it takes a while before you see fruit in youth ministry. But there's one that I'm pretty proud of that's going to happen tomorrow. Tyson Williams, you know, which is was a member of the Crestwood football team when he's been to youth camp a couple times. He went to Winterfest, I think about 3 times. Jimmy, was he in your room?
No.
He went in your, I thought he might have been in your room. Anyway, Tyson Williams will be the starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow night on Monday Night Football. Make sure stay in youth ministries, you tuning in, and we're supporting Tyson Williams. I already sent him a message and said, boy, what in the world? Man, why ain't getting no tickets? Anyway, make sure that you're praying for Tyson. Tyson's a great kid. I'm so proud of what he's accomplished in his life, and so glad he didn't go to Georgia where he was fixing to go. So, I mean, even if it was a Tar Heel, I'd rather you be a Tar Heel than a Bulldog. But Tyson, I cannot wait to watch you tomorrow night, dude. God's blessings upon you. That's all for our announcements. Watch this bumper video and we'll get started with our series. All right, almost got caught with a piece of ice in my mouth. We are on part 2 of our series, Body Armor. I bet y'all can't guess what we're talking about tonight. I'll get into this a little bit more in a minute. I was thinking to say something, but I'm going to let it go. So we're talking about the armor of God, body armor, what you need on. This is what you should be putting on every single day before you go out of your house. Have you ever touched a hot stove, even after someone told you not to? In fact, I'll tell you what. Text me some answers to some of these questions. I'd love to read some of these. 803, or is my number up there, Jimmy? I thought it was. Text me your answers to some of these. Have you ever touched a hot stove when someone told you not to? I have. You know why? I was a bad kid. I didn't listen well. I didn't listen well at all. You know, and it would be, yeah, Jimmy's doing it. And that's exactly what would happen. My grandma would say, I was at my grandmama's house most of the time. And now that I'm older and realize what I was as a little kid, I know why my mama sent me to my grandmama's house all the time. Dad wasn't there, so Granddaddy was. You know what Granddaddy had? A garden hose to spank me with, an axe handle, a switch. Man, it'd be child abuse. Now, y'all, I've been whipped with the opposite end of a fly swatter, the wire part. I mean, you get tore up, man. You leave marks on you, whatever. Now they got, I'm calling DSS. You know what? That's what some of y'all need now. Anyway, another sermon. And Grandmama would say, Grandmama always cooked. My grandmama cooked breakfast. I mean, you got homemade grits, biscuits. This woman would get up. Now, you know, she didn't work a public job, but she would get up. I remember this, even in the summer. She's up like 5:30, 6 o'clock every single morning. By 8 o'clock, my granddaddy had homemade grits, homemade biscuits that my grandmama would take her hands and she would mash the top of them. And it had my grandmama's fingerprints in that. I got a sermon on that too. I need to bring that one back out. And I talked about the fingerprints of my grandma. You could see my grandmother's fingerprints. Man, you knew who made them biscuits. She done had her fingerprint in every one of them because she'd mash those things down on top. You'd see all 4 of her fingers. Homemade biscuits. She would, and there ain't no one meat. You might have that thick sliced bacon that grandmama would coat it in black pepper because my granddaddy loved black pepper. Ain't no sweet bacon up in this house. It was black peppered bacon. Okay, I had a moment. Because you can't find that stuff no more. And then she would have like fried bologna. To this day, I'm a fried bologna guy. I love fried bologna. She'd have fried bologna. She'd have eggs. She'd have all kind of stuff. It was like a big old spread. Y'all, it was just my grandmama and my granddaddy and me. And I'm like, she cooked like there are 10 people here. Then she would clean that up. They would put the meat in a bowl and put it up in the cabinet. Not no refrigerator, put it up in the cabinet. They'd be munching on it all day long. Then she would cook lunch. Then she'd cook supper. Well, a lot of times during the summer, we were in Atlanta, not Atlanta, Atlanta. Y'all, in the 70s, when I was a kid, there wasn't no TV like y'all got now. You had to find stuff to do. You had to be creative, which is why I got in trouble, I think. But anyway, I would help grandmama cook. I love being in the kitchen with my grandmama because she was a trip. She was something else. And I remember on more than one occasion, she'd say, all right, now don't touch that stove, it's hot. Every single time she would tell me that I'd still have to go. Like Jimmy was just doing. Knowing the thing red, fool. You see the one back there black? That one's black, that one's black. If this one's red, it don't take much to figure that out. It's hot, and every time I'd get burned. How about this? Ever been bit by a dog because you were trying to play with it after someone had already warned you? Now this hasn't happened to me, but I've seen it happen. And y'all, just go to TikTok and type it in of dogs. Look here, you will laugh, but I remember this. Our whole family got out of a car in front of Elwood Stone's house. And we had about, was it 3? Julie, 2. I can't remember. Two big old pit bulls almost attacked us. You know, I'm hollering at them to get back in the car, get back in the car. They got out of the fence somehow. But I thought, that was a scary moment. I really thought I was about to get eat up by a dog. So I can't imagine the false sense of security of going to play with a dog and getting bit. Now, Julie used to have a dog that was the meanest dog ever. His name was Alex, a.k.a. Damien, a.k.a. Beelzebub, a.k.a. Lucifer, whatever other name you want to put up. This dog has, in fact, the youth group, this dog bit about everybody in the youth group. Ask Howie Owens about Alex. Anyway, Alex was mean. And Alex was so cute, though. So you'd reach over, oh, look, he'd bite the fool out of you. So I can understand this. Have you ever, well, here's the thing. You would have been protected from the pain of the hot stove or the dog if you had trusted the person that was warning you, right? I mean, why wouldn't I listen to my grandmama? She proved by what I told you about cooking 3 meals a day. The woman knew her way around the kitchen. In fact, people can't cook like that. People don't cook like that no more. In this day and age, my grandma would make a killing because that woman could cook. So, if she knows her way around the kitchen and she's proven that, when she tells me the stove is hot, pray tell, why would I touch it? If it's somebody else's dog, like if you were to walk into our house then, we would tell you. Now look here, y'all better leave Alex alone, he gonna bite you. So if you pet him and you get bit, is that my fault or yours? Isn't it amazing that our life is this way? If you live your life by always asking, what does the Bible say about that? Which, to be honest with you, that's probably one of the biggest things for teenagers. I get that almost every Wednesday. There's somebody after church that says, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And a lot of them are not real in depth, but they'll ask the question, hey, what does the Bible say about this or that? Or is this right or is this wrong or whatever? And if we live our life that way before making a decision, then we'll know God's will in our life. I am not bothered at all by a student asking me, hey, what does the Bible say about this? In fact, that shows me they're concerned. They at least want to know. But what does the Bible say about how I should treat my parents? In my 23 years of youth ministry, I don't think I've had that asked to me but a couple of times. Which lets me know that's not an important question from teenagers. What does the Bible say about how I should act around people who don't go to church? Woo! Now this is a whole series within itself. And this is one of the reasons why there's spiritual warfare going on in the church. We're not winning. You know why? We don't know how to act around people who aren't Christians. A lot get that holier than thou mentality. Or I'm a Christian and you're not. Or the world sits back and watches some people that are bashing their own because they don't believe like they believe. What I was talking about earlier with the whole vaccine thing. One thing I do thank the Lord for is the ability for me to mold into, not become them, but to fit in with the world. On Fridays, I have the opportunity to be on the sideline with the Sumter High Gamecocks, and I love it. Oh, I love it. I love that stinky smell. But what I love most importantly, more than that, is to watch these kids that'll come up and say, this past Friday, got one sprained his hand, sprained his wrist. He comes off the field, and I'm right there. I'm like, dude, you all right? And he goes, hey, will you pray for me? Man, I'll be honored to. Are you kidding me? You know, especially this one, because he got a shot going somewhere. Hey, you remember when I prayed for you? You better send me tickets too. What in the world? No, I'm not just playing. But you get to build that relationship with them. And you know what? When you make yourself unapproachable because of what they've seen from you on Facebook, there's a lot of Christians the world don't want to talk to you. You're not going to have a chance to witness. You know why? Because they read your Facebook or your social media post and think, what a jerk. Wow. Wow. I've been guilty some too. I've had to really watch. Somebody posted a meme earlier that said, man, I had a whole paragraph typed out and the Holy Spirit said, you better hit delete. And I thought, wow, I've done that too. See, the more that we do this, the more it will become natural for us to do the right thing. When we constantly think, what does the Bible say about that? What does the Bible say about this? Do you know there's nothing that touches your life that the Bible doesn't talk about? Nothing. We've heard this. Well, that's not relevant for today. That's a book. Are you serious? Because it also says there's nothing new under the sun. And then the New Testament church. Well, we're in the New Testament. We don't. Really? Woo, go ahead and take that chance. I'd hate to see it when you stand before God and he says, well, in the Old Testament, I told you. Oh, but you thought you was beyond that. I am so thankful to be in a full gospel church. A church that believes from Genesis to the maps. We believe it all. It is the Word of God, and I'm glad. But see, the more that we apply this to our life for our everyday stuff, the more natural it's going to be to do the right thing. Practice makes perfect. On Friday nights, we blow up that big old inflatable helmet. We get that smoke machine working. And man, that music hits. And I watch that football team run out. There's chances for you to tweak these students on the sideline, but it's hard to tell them anything at that point. That's what you did Monday through Thursday, was practice. Practice makes perfect. You've got to practice. Doing the right thing is involved with this piece of armor for tonight. Our piece of armor tonight is Ephesians 6:14. This is what we read last week, because we started with we girded our waist with truth. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness. So tonight we are talking about the breastplate of righteousness. What is righteousness? This is one of those church words that, to be honest with you, I think is misunderstood. Righteousness, it sounds like an old-fashioned word, but it's a timeless concept. You can't put a time on righteousness. It's there. It's there. As you can tell from seeing the word right, this is a word about taking a stand and doing the right thing. What does righteousness mean? Doing the right thing. Do what's right. Trying to help the poor. Trying to help those that are oppressed. Doing an unpopular thing that is ethical requires righteousness. We live in a world where nobody's eager to help anybody do anything anymore. Now, some of that is because of the world that we live in. Because I'll never forget, I'm so glad I grew up without having everything we have today, just to be honest. I can remember stopping on the side of the road to help somebody change a tire. Can't do that now. Not because you don't have the heart to do it. You don't know who that person is. They liable to shoot you. I remember when people used to hold the doors for each other. I remember when people would say, no ma'am, you go ahead, you only got 2 items. Now the attitude is, I can get my own door. I got here first, you ain't getting in front of me. I don't care if you do got two items. Well ma'am, you are in the express line, you got 30. It says 10 or less. Of course you can forget that too now. Ain't nobody want to work no cash register. You self-checkout. But nobody wants to do the right thing anymore. And it's scary. I'm glad that I grew up to where manners, ethics, they were just a part of life. Now if you have manners or ethics, they assume you're a Christian. We have gone so far as to demean Christian principles by saying if you've got manners, if you say yes sir and no sir, you must be a Christian. And that's not the way it works. But righteousness is just basically doing the right thing. So tonight, I have been blessed. And let me just say this. I'm grateful to have 2 that works in our youth ministry that are part of the Sumter County Sheriff's Department. So I want to tell you this too. If you're watching tonight, especially in Sumter, please, 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 on your daily prayer list, add law enforcement. I grew up in a family full of policemen and preachers. I didn't care for either one of them. God made me one, and now it's surrounded me with a bunch of the other ones. I'm so thankful for the law enforcement that's in our church. We got quite a few. In fact, I'll be honest with you, you bust up in our church on a Sunday morning with an active shooter. Whoa, boy, you in trouble. I bet there's probably close to 15 that I could just name real quick. Law enforcement in our church. I'm proud of that. We got the former police chief up in this church. In fact, Miss Patty Patterson tells me all the time, you better behave. My trigger finger hurts when she picks at me. So I am thankful that Trevor and Jimmy have provided these things. Now, let me tell you something about these first of all. And by the way, tomorrow is Trevor Brown's birthday. So y'all make sure y'all tell Trevor happy birthday. But thank you to Jimmy and Trevor for our object lesson for tonight. But Trevor says, I said, Trevor, I need to borrow your bulletproof vest for an object lesson. Here's what he tells me. You want the light one or the heavy one? I'm like, huh? Y'all, I don't know nothing about bulletproof vests. So I said, I want the light one. It's just an object lesson. Y'all, he handed me this one, and I'm thinking, that's the light one? And then Jimmy gives me his, and I'm like, oh, shoot. Is this a heavy one or a light one? That's the light one. Y'all, now I know why them jokers be huffing and puffing when they're chasing somebody. I'd shoot you too. That right there, what does this thing weigh? That's got to be at least about 20 pounds. That's what I was thinking. Y'all, I'm carrying my own extra 20 pounds, but I can't imagine. And then sweating, and then I read, I'm going to get into this about moisture can't get in these things. Moisture actually breaks down the bulletproof fiber in these. Y'all, I learned all kinds of stuff about bulletproof vests. So, and I'm going to share these tonight and then give you the spiritual principle for this thing. So, I've done a lot of research on this. I got excited about this, I don't know if you can tell. But in fact, I wanted to find somebody to put this on and shoot him and see how it really worked. But I didn't figure that was a good idea. I believe I'd pass on that. But what do we know about bulletproof vests? A bulletproof vest, in principle, is really not bulletproof. It's really not. A bulletproof vest is not bulletproof, but it is bullet resistant. There is a difference. There is a difference. A bulletproof vest will not with a 100% certainty stop all kinds of bullets fired against it. But what it does is it causes a blunt force trauma from the bullet. There's nothing that is 100% bulletproof, but you will not be the new Iron Man because you put this on. That's not the way that works. Here's the thing. I didn't know that before then. So, by my knowledge, I would have put that joker on, and I'd have been the one that said, hey, shoot me, and let's see if this works. That's not the way it works. What it does is it absorbs the bullet. It's still going to hurt. It's still going to cause pain. So, I got to thinking about that. And I'm like, wow. Don't you allow the false sense of security to set in your brain by thinking that you are self-righteous and that nothing can get to you. I got on a bulletproof vest. You ain't gonna kill me. Shoot me. Just because you got on the breastplate of righteousness don't mean you need to walk around trying to challenge the devil to a fight and picking one with him. The pastor's got some cool stories on this. We talked about this. I go to him, ask him, say, hey, Pastor Neil was mentioning about this, and ask him about guys trying to call out the devil. I'll tell you a quick one. He said he pastored a church that there were some young guys in there that got saved, and they were all fired up, and they told the pastor that went by the pastor's house and said, hey, we're going out tonight. We want you to pray for us. And they're like, okay, what y'all doing? They were going devil hunting. Huh? And the pastor's like, you're doing what? They were going to look for people to cast the devil out of. What? That kind of thing, that mentality. Don't you allow that to happen, because I can promise you. You remember Job? Remember David? Remember Peter? Remember Moses? Remember Samson? I could go on and on with examples of guys who thought that their righteousness was something. So they were ready to let the devil just keep firing shots at them. You can't get me because I'm covered with the breastplate of righteousness. It's that self-righteous that'll get you in trouble. What else do we know about the bulletproof vest? They have proven that every bullet has the ability to be lethal. Every bullet has the ability to be lethal. I don't know, Jimmy, if you can still see me when I do this. But I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty good, man. Look here. Don't you turn to the side. In fact, I don't want to get into too much detail, but the deputy sheriff that passed away a few years ago had on his vest. But from my understanding, the bullet had penetrated through the side. Every bullet has the ability to be lethal. No bulletproof vest will be able to stop a bullet 100% of the time. The force of the shot causes the blunt force trauma, as I talked about, and it can knock you unconscious. or at worst can kill you. But see, the vest can secure that you can survive the impact of the bullet. It gives you a chance. Here's the deal. Our righteousness, it will help us survive. When you have the mentality of, I want to do the right thing, don't underestimate the attacks. We're told no weapon will prosper. We're told that, but not that a weapon would not be fired at us. You won't find that anywhere. But that's the world we live in. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm good to go. Without realizing it's still getting shot at you. And if you let your guard down with doing the right thing, there's still areas that the weapon can penetrate and you can lose it. You got to know the difference. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, but they will be fired at you. If they're not, it's because you're not a threat. We're in a world to where somehow, some way, some idiot has decided to paint the picture that law enforcement's the bad guy. And yes, I said he's an idiot. I don't care who it is. And what we don't realize is that it's there to protect us. They're not the enemy. Yet as Christians, we do the same thing. We're walking around and we just assume everybody's whatever. You have no idea who's firing their weapon at you. I can promise you the devil's after you. Now, will he prosper? Absolutely not. But it doesn't mean he's not going to try. There's a lifespan of bulletproof vests. Did you know that? I didn't know that till today either. 3 to 5 years. 5 years max is what they say. Is that this thing will be, I don't know, no good, but basically no good in 5 years. In 5 years, the fibers break down and all kind of stuff. It's due to, there's a National Institute of Justice, and they have requirements that these vests have to meet in order to be used. When a bulletproof vest is being used every day or every weekend, it loses its durability. And especially over a vest that's not being used. You have to look closely at the scratches that are on your vest. There are panels inside that can get broke down from moisture. And if the sealing of the panel has been broken, you got to make sure that it's sealed. If one maintains his vest properly, there should not be any problems in the lifespan of 5 years. See, your righteousness, it has to be renewed every day. Every day. Don't wait 5 years to renew it. Every day. I'll be honest with you, especially in Sumter County. If I'm going to work, I want to make sure this thing's going to work right. Why would you leave your house without making sure that your breastplate of righteousness is not working right? Make sure that it's been maintenance. That's on you. Renew that thing. This is done through Bible reading, through your prayer, through testifying. That's how that works. Then another thing that's in this, and y'all, I pulled these from the National Institute of Justice about bulletproof vests. This is actually one of the things about bulletproof vests. It says, if you're shot, don't give up. Don't give up. And I'm thinking, why would you have to tell that? You ever watch I love cop shows. I love Law and Order, NCIS New Orleans is my favorite now. But Criminal Minds, I love these things. And every one of them on these, I've seen at least one scene to where this guy gets shot, and then 5 minutes later he wakes up because he's wearing a bulletproof vest. See, the force of the shot would feel like being shot by a splatter gun with 3 times as much power. And it will make a mark on your body, which causes a lot of beautiful colors. And it hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. But today, manufacturers have become good at making bulletproof vests with the low blunt force trauma, which forces, which means the force of the bullet hurts a little less than what it did. But it doesn't mean it ain't going to hurt. And From what I've read of every single testimony of somebody who has been shot that has had on their bulletproof vest, they basically say, I felt like I was shot, which they were. It really hurt. So I'm like, wow. But what it does is you feel the force of that, but you can still live. See, here's the thing. If you've got on your breastplate of righteousness, don't you give up because you've been shot. Don't give up because the devil has fired at you. Don't give up because you got your feelings hurt. Don't give up because you experienced some pain in your life. Don't give up because you're still alive. You've just been shot. Guess what? The bruises will go away. What else about bulletproof vests? This one I found funny. If you lose or gain weight, you've got to get a new bulletproof vest. It says, the easy rule to remember in fitting yourself with a bulletproof vest is there's plus or minus 10% into the loss or gain column. A too large or too small vest will not hold in the long run, and it will make your work less convenient with a vest that is too large or small. A bulletproof vest should fit closely to the body. It cannot be too small or too large. I thought, well, duh. Now that makes perfect sense. What would happen if I got on somebody else's vest? It's not made for me. Doesn't fit me. And so, I've got to have my breastplate of righteousness. And as you grow spiritually, so should the size of your breastplate of righteousness. It has got to grow. If you're fighting the same weapons today that you've always thought, you're not growing. And the opposite of growing is dying. So while the one that I thought was the funniest is the one who really spoke probably the loudest to me out of all of these. My breastplate of righteousness should match my spiritual walk. It should match my spiritual walk. Then this one. Never let your bulletproof vest lie at home. After purchasing a bulletproof vest, there is no reason for you to leave it at home in the closet. Use it in big letters on their website. You never know what you might be exposed to. Now, I'm going to tell you. I know Jimmy and Trevor pretty well. I don't think either one of them is going to go to work without this. I mean, smarts, half a brain would say, And I thought, why would you have to tell them that? This is life or death. This could be the difference between whether you live or you die. And while it's easy to look at this from a physical standpoint because we see it and we know, oh, you got it on. Spiritually, we do the same thing. You have got the breastplate of righteousness, which means you have the ability within you to do what's right and what's wrong every single day. Why would we leave it at home? Take it with you. That's a given. You have access to this great piece of armor called the breastplate of righteousness. Why would you not want to use it to make your life better? Not easier, but better. Psalms 119, verses 137 through 138. Righteous are you, Lord, and upright are your judgments. Your testimonies which you have commanded are righteous and very faithful. Living a righteous life, it isn't just about protecting ourselves, though. Living a righteous life allows us to worship God through our actions, and it helps others know Him better. There are people in my life that I'm so thankful they're there. There are people in my life that I care about deeply, that I want what's best for them. I want them healthy, happy. I want life to work for them. If that's the way I feel about those people, imagine what God feels about me. And yet he's given this great piece of armor that just simply speaks to me that says, here's your breastplate of righteousness. I've given you the ability to do what's right. If there's anybody older watching this, there was a comedian that I remember my family, you can't watch him, he's bad. But his name was called Flip Wilson. Flip Wilson used to have this saying that said, the devil made me do it. In fact, I'll never forget, I got in huge trouble because I bought a poster that had Sylvester, who had eaten Tweety and had like a yellow feather sticking out of his mouth, and down at the bottom it says, the devil made me do it. I got a spanking. They burnt that poster. All kind of stuff. And I thought, there's a lot of people that actually use that excuse. I couldn't help it. Well, all that tells me is that you don't have your breastplate of righteousness. I remember Taylor would get in trouble and he'd start to maybe pop his hand or talk to him or whatever, and he'd say, I didn't do it. My hand did it. And while that was cute, we live in a world where adults do the same kind of thing. We don't take responsibility for our mess-ups. We try to blame everybody else and something else on somebody else. See, the breastplate of righteousness is what helps us make the right decision. Please don't leave your house without your armor. Why would you want to go to war and not have all the armor that has been given to you? Every single day, every morning, His mercies are new. But you know what that means? Every single day there's a new spiritual battle that's going to happen as soon as you walk out your house. Sometimes as soon as you open your eyes. We talked last week about the belt of truth. There are things that are just, it's true. You can't argue them. They're facts. God is God. You're not. That's a great one to know. So we know that I got our belt of truth on. Helps us hold our britches up. Remember, we brought that up. In Bible times, the belt was actually there to help them hold their pants up so that they could fight with the freedom. This is why it says the truth will set you free. Ooh, that's good too. That wasn't in there last week. It should have been. Now tonight we've added the second piece, the breastplate of righteousness. Now I know the truth. Now it's up to me to do what's right. Not just for me, but for everybody who is in my life. Everybody who is in my life. I don't know where you stand spiritually. Not everyone. A lot of you I do. You share with me, and thank you for that. But I do know this. Every one of you are in a fight. We all are. I am so grateful that the Lord has picked me to be a warrior. He's picked you to be a warrior. How do we know? Because He's given every single one of us the armor. He believes. We got to believe in ourselves. Put on your breastplate of righteousness. Do what's right. And watch the world become a better place because of you. Let's pray. Father, we're so thankful that you've provided everything that we need to be successful. God, the only thing that you didn't make us do was choose you. You've given us a free will. But God, I pray that there's a group tonight that has decided within themselves that we're going to fight. We're going to spiritually fight. God, I pray you bind us together with love. I pray that you'd help us to put on our belt of truth. Prepare ourselves for battle. And Lord, as tonight we've added the breastplate of righteousness to do what's right. To do what's right to those around us. To do what's right even to our enemies. God, I pray that you would help us to be the warrior that you've called and commissioned us to be. We've been chosen. We've been anointed by you. Lord, as I was reading in the Bible times about they would take their breastplates and they would oil them down before battle. Lord, I pray that you would help us to apply the oil of the Spirit, to be anointed for such a time as this. God, I pray you bless every single person who has watched tonight. Pray blessings upon everyone. It's in your name we live and we pray. Amen. Remember, this Wednesday night, we're in the room, 7 o'clock. I cannot wait to see you. God bless you.